We will now start the second part of the presentation. It will be led by Mario. So please, thank you.
Okay, thanks. So now I will talk a bit about the start of the KICKVOIDLÖOP, which has a strange name, I know. But can you use with the micro so I can? So otherwise it's difficult to have three hands unless I was a. Oh, a Shiva. An octopus. So, well, I'll share with you the starting of and some of the way we implement what we have discussed and talked about in the morning. The perspective actually was the opposite. So we started intuitively, and then we got and structured the framework. Like from the beginning, we didn't have all the theory, so we can do the cooperative. At the beginning, I can share with you a bit of the history. I think it can be interesting. At the beginning, because it has some caveats. Caveats? Mm-hmm. Caveats. Ah, right. So I'm starting to speak in English that others can understand. At the beginning, KICKVOIDLÖOP, it was like just me and an ex-colleague of mine from the faculty. And I was in the academic career. I was teaching at the fine arts school. And my friend was working in several countries from, well, Spain, Saudi Arabia, and well, we were very close friends in the time we were studying, but then he came to Portugal and we decided to create a structure to work, because I had my own freelance projects that started to get to be more important to me as a professor at the time. And he was from he was already into the businesses. He knew how communication agencies worked. So we start creating something. Well, let's see how it works, and that's what our approach at the beginning. And that was part of the solution and part of the problem. Because of the cooperative thinking, I intuitively always wanted to his perspective of a working platform was like two designers doing stuff, and my perspective was more to integrate other people and to be able to work with different areas in a multidisciplinary environment. And well, I didn't know what I wanted, actually, just knew that, but I didn't know how to structure this. Well, the beginning was some of the things we already talked. We found out a lawyer agency that could do the paperwork and create a structure. At the time, they told us that it's not very good to have a cooperative because of the ownership of the control of the organization. So the best way would be to have a business, a regular business. Well, but at the time I said, well, maybe we can be a church, you know, and have some, how do you say, the guys that, the believers. Maybe we can be us, and the believers.
You would be
And I came out to the lawyers with this idea. Let's make a church. And the guy, which is a very known guy in the north of Portugal, I think he's a huge lawyer company, thought about the thing and said to me, well, that's not feasible. You have to have recognizability. You have to have some recognizability in order to perform, to work. And I was very upset with the result, because my colleague was very okay with the solution. He always wanted to have a business. And the only thing I always know best what I don't want, that what I really want. So I knew that I didn't want a company. And one of the reasons I didn't want a company is because I didn't want to work vertically. I felt, because I had an academic path already, and because I wanted to improve my freelance condition, which was like secondary, because I was teaching and I had some freelance work, so it's okay. But when I started having many more freelance works, it's not, well, very convenient. And so I didn't want a regular business. After some time I realized, okay, you can't be a church. And I found out Martinho, because I passed for a place called Cooperative dos Pedreiros, which is like Mason cooperative. Yeah, so, that's not a business, let's see what this is. And I went there, and luckily I found Martinho, and he talked about cooperatives in the way you already understood. And I said, it might be a good alternative. And we started discussing it. At the time it was just me and Nuno, and then we started discussing it, and we understand that we needed more persons than just two. And we established the very beginning of KICKVOIDLÖOP is like 4 of us, like me, Nuno, Joanna, and Nelia, which is a photographer. And the problems started with the model. Imagine, in my perspective, the model isn't the solution to every situation. Of course, you can deal with also with challenging issues, but it started to be a problem for him and for Nelia. Well, I will advance, and so we built the cooperative, and we started having a cooperative issue because of the first members. You know, the first members didn't, in this case, just me and Joanna kept with the cooperative, and Nuno and Nelia left the cooperative because they didn't comply with this model. And every problem that happens, which could happen in another design agency, they always put the problem in the model of organization and not in the thing per se. Understand? So that was the very beginning of KICKVOIDLÖOP. My vision of KICKVOIDLÖOP was also, as I said, to have an horizontal perspective and working model. Why? Because I didn't want people to work for me. I wanted people to work with me, and that's a big difference between between this model, the cooperative movement and the cultural cooperative, and a regular business. And so we had that problem at the beginning, and then we start one of the things that we already talked in the morning, but that's important to have in mind. We need education. It's not just to have the persons. Our first approach was, well, I'll do the work with my friends, with people I know, and if you are from arts, you know that we know lots of people from different areas that relate with us, so it's easier for us to have a network. And I wanted to integrate the network in a working model. And so, hey, do you want to be part of it, and with my closest friends, or friends that I think it could be in position to be part of the project? And some say, why not? Because you don't need to do much to be in a cooperative. Like in this case, it was just the beginning of the network. From the beginning, I sensed that we needed a network. And what Martinho enlightened us about the cooperative movement and cooperative model was that it's just that, it's a network. And we had a network, but of people which didn't have yet the mindset, the right mindset to be with us. So we start doing some work at the beginning with partnerships, like exchanging services, and that was the very, very, very beginning of KICKVOIDLÖOP. By the way, the meaning of KICKVOIDLÖOP, which is strange at most, like KICKVOIDLÖOP, it's a strange name. Maybe it seems like Scandinavian, maybe it seems like something from abroad. Wherever you are, it's from abroad, it's from far away. And that was one of I'll talk a bit about the name, because the name is one thing that's interesting in doing things with time. That is also one aspect of building a project. Normally you don't have time because you have the pressure of being consequent. Was that, well, we were able to think about the project as a whole. And KICKVOIDLÖOP, one of the idea behind KICKVOIDLÖOP is first to sound strange, because it defies, all the structure define, our perspective was like, the structure will defy the establishment. So what's the meaning, what do you want when you have a new project? To be recognizable, to be an easy name, and to be something people can say and speak easily. And well, why not the opposite? Like create some strangeness. And that's the way it came up, KICKVOIDLÖOP, which actually means, as 3 words, like kick, void, and loop, and it's the essence of projects. Like kick, the initial kick of something new, void, to fulfill something that needs to be done, and loop, it's like the elliptical movement between questioning and redoing. So this is actually the process, which we talked in the morning. We centered in the process. That's what's more important for us. We focus on the process, not just on the results. Of course, we consider these results and we need results, but the idea behind is to focus on the process. Why? Because we are in some way hedonistic, and we like to do projects, and we like to work with others, and then because it's, well, it sounds good. So, one of the things that we managed to, what is important to be a KICKVOIDLÖOPian, which is a specific kind
religion.
It's the religion is there. We don't have the church, we don't have the bells, but we have the idea. I never lost the idea, and so it's this. It's like the human beings engaged with the transformative power of communication. Why? In this case, we put design studio, but actually more important than design is the communication itself. I see itself. I'm a designer, but I see design as like a director of the project, like with different areas, different activities, and design only directs, because design is a methodology. So that's the starting point. Design as the director and all different areas, no matter what areas are. Right now we may be interested in specifically design, but it depends. Imagine that enters a member which is very interested and active in sound design. I would love to learn with sound design, because it expands my, it's not static, expands my appliance of the methodology to a new tool. It's like you have a new tool to play, right? So with the objective to communicate. And we also embedded the idea of learning. In the businesses normally tend to be more professional in a way that they know everything. We are very professional, we have the amateurs, and then we have the professionals who knows everything about a specific subject. We assume that we don't know everything and we learn with each other. That's one of the reasons why many times we pay as scholarships. Like we pay to our members to learn.
Through project.
Through project. We have real project, and that's the main difference. I think we are building or building a gap between the academics and the real world businesses, because academies have some difficulties to deal with. They try to make internships and things like that, but then they don't have the structure. At least in Portugal, they don't have the structure to acompanhar, to you know,
to go in business.
To go in business and to back up their students, because professors are in the academic world and they don't have sometimes the connection. Also, so you have internships, but you have disconnected internships. That happens like for 2 months or 3 months. It's an internship, but normally you don't have the help that they need, because it's difficult to deal with the student that's not in the structure anymore. And from the other side, for businesses, it's also very difficult, because they don't have the time to deal with a student that came up, don't know what he knows or she knows, and sometimes the work they do inside the business is the work nobody wants to do. So we are in the middle term. We have one foot in the recognition of the constant learning, and we have other foot on one thing that the academic world don't have, which is like real projects. It's not simulation, it's real projects, and you learn even with clients. So, well, mainly the idea behind is this, and this is this is our website. and this is the what we need, what a KICKVOIDLÖOPian needs to be a KICKVOIDLÖOPian. Needs to be a KICKVOIDLÖOPian. Then we already talked about this, but then we talk a bit about the cooperative and how it allows us to work and to achieve these two very different worlds. So the cooperative allows us, for instance, since we were just four to now, we can, you know, it doesn't matter if the project is very big or very small. Doesn't matter if it's a huge budget or a small budget. We can adapt. Why? Because we are a cooperative. If we weren't a cooperative, we would need to deal with different and more difficult questions like how can I pay that person and stuff. So our model is more, it depends on the involvement of the person with the cooperative. So it's a two-way dialogue, you know. So well, this is sorry. This is one definition of cooperative from International Cooperative Alliance. This is not just ours, but people-centered enterprises jointly owned and democratically controlled by, probably it has an error, by their members to realize their common economic, social and cultural needs. And that's what we stand for. We want to promote the constant learning of who is with us. We want people to recognize that they learn with the others. They learn with the network. They learn with the context. They can learn as a designer. I can learn with illustrator, or I can learn with a video maker. I can learn with different areas. And for me, in terms of a project, in terms of life, it's a very interesting way of being, because I won't get bored. You know, I'm always trying different ways to communicate, and but this is not easy to sometimes to achieve persons that understand what it means and are able, and sometimes they aren't ready to be into this model. So that's the reason why we have, and talking about practical issues, that's the reason why we start with a project which can be, which is experimental and voluntary. So if you want to start working with KICKVOIDLÖOP, you have to, you do a project, a starting project. You don't pay any money, because look, if you are in a business, you are an employer. Employee, like, right? Employee. Here you are co-owner. So to be co-owner, you should participate in the 1% of the value of the structure. The way we do it, for being more democratic, is we do it by work. So it's a work, a project. You start doing the project without getting paid, but to see if things work. How is the mindset? And well, but what I'm telling you, it's not just like I'm telling you from the beginning. It was like fine-tuned, you know? You were like figuring out how can we improve this alternative model, which is a model that can work with the capitalistic structure, inside the capitalistic structure, you know? At the beginning, also in Portugal, we have some kind of preconception. prejudice about cooperatives. You also have that. People don't understand what it is. So at the beginning, our first website, we didn't say we were a cooperative because it was a downside. But we get more confident about the model in the terms that we now say that, well, cooperative is like an organizational model version 2.0. You know, it's not. We have proud of the model, and we already have the guts to say it. You know, I think it's important to also.
Can I say? It's also important to notice that it's the first cooperative in this area, this business field. You know, so there aren't any others. There are artists, but it's the first. So design studios usually are enterprises, right? So for us, in the beginning, we were just, grasping the field, and so it was not, we didn't assume it. So we just came out of the closet in terms of being a cooperative.
Yes, and at the beginning it was difficult because sometimes we had biases, not because of what you do, but because the way you present yourself to the community. So it was important for us to get more mature in the model, understand better the model, so we can communicate it better. And one of the things that's very important for us is the network. Not just with KICKVOIDLÖOPians, but also with clients. We have several clients that became partners. Even we like to work, we understand the work as a learning process. So in some cases, we reduce the price to be paid because we include the payment of the client, because he is important for us. We will learn from him or from it, from the client, from her, or whatever. And we learn. So we need we get information from other areas, but we also get information from the people that wants to do a project with us. So they are partners. And we always try to include the partner into the project. So many of these cases, well, this is us, and this is us, and then we have like some of these partners were clients. But we want to change the idea of a client, because a client looks for a service. And we don't want to give a service. We want to give a project where we are authors, and we through the client, you know, they have an objective, they have something they want to do, and we do our work with their partnership. So we integrate them when it's possible. Because sometimes it isn't, because, you know, it depends on the structures, and then it's too much for some people too. So it depends. But we have a good partnership with other, ex-clients, and in some ways we have. We also have projects that came up through former clients, which is great, because they like to work with us. They understand the hallucination. No, they understand the alternative view, and they like to be part of the way to deal with the project. So we have more than one case. With awareness, it was a former client. We already done 3 projects with clients of them. 2 of the projects for Portuguese government. Mindalizer, the same issue. We got one big project. I'll show you. We have the project here. Sim, sim. Tá bem. Das caras. Espera, calma. And we also have some partnerships that are simply other structures in which we rely, like cooperatives. We want to strengthen our network, like we have Uninord. Martinho is the president of Uninord and is also integrated into our structure, and we are part of Uninord as a collective group because it's a good synergy for us and a good synergy for Uninord. RepCoop is an architecture cooperative. We will start a project with them right now. When we land in Portugal, we will start a project with them, which will imply changing their name and stuff. And actually, we will, strengthen our communication and our infrastructures also. So we plan to do not just the work, because they are already a cooperative. We plan to do more things relating design with architecture. And in this case, Sal Studio is a regular studio, but we do some stuff with them regularly, on a regular basis. For instance, this project, we don't have the specific project, the page that shows all the project, because, well, it's a work in progress. We need to develop that part of the website. But this project is it's from paddle surf, and we developed the whole identity. It's the APP. It's like a session of paddle surf professionals, and it has like a tour, a world tour. It goes from Hawaii until to Korea, and well, and we made everything from scratch with them. One of these images you see here is with points. It's like the logo with drones in the sky, and well. And this is one of our partners. It was started being a project, and now it's one of our projects. This is a project with, it's called Design Observatory, and it's a network of different universities with design, and you work with them creating the Design Obs, which is like an observatory of design. In Stavel, it's a work we have done with a dance structure. Actually, is an association, and we have done a work with them, creating. I could show you if you were specifically interested in design, but it's the thing I like in this project is that we create. Let me see if that works. This. What you see here is like all the logo. This is a low budget project. You see, like you have APP and then you have instável. Instável means unstable. What is instável? Instável is a dance company without many resources, but they wanted to do a project with us, and all things are built with duct tape. The logo is duct tape with two sizes, like the smaller and the largest. So with duct tape, they can write their logo type whatever they want. It's very cheap and very creative. They can play with the logo. It's not always the same. It also has always the same characteristic, identity. And for instance, this one is one we have done with one of our partners, which is this partner, Awareness. They they do like geographical reference. They work in the geographical reference area. Yes, so it's a commercial project, but you know,
they work a lot with agriculture, that they like do for agricultures. They do maps of all of their plantations or all of their trees, or you know, so they can keep track of huge properties, for instance.
They use sensors and stuff to understand. Imagine if you have a vineyard, a huge vineyard, and you want to, you can have sensors and technology, so you know a specific area has less humidity than the other. So they do that kind of stuff. And we designed everything from the maps till the identity. We have here the maps, I believe, somewhere. The maps and, well, designed the whole thing. And we also have stuff relating with camping and green camping in this case. Also festivals like this one, which is Andanças. It's a folk festival. It used to be the biggest festival of folk music in Europe, but then they had a huge problem because 422 cars exploded in one big accident, and now they are, well, smaller. But it was very fun to do this project because they had, because to do the map we had to go there, and they were like this, from year to year they discovered a new part of the project, of the space, and it was very cool to do the project because, well, we opted for using illustration instead of photos. And we had some curious solutions, like alternatives to, you know, when it was a 7-day festival, so like 700 events in 1 week, many changes. And the way we solved it is like we always painted a blackboard, and children loved to do the modifications. You know, it's very interesting to see the interaction of the community.
If there were any alterations to the program, you could go and write, you know,
yeah,
yourself.
Right. And so and about projects, it's I think we don't need to go any further. We have more projects, some of them in the commercial area, some of them in the more cultural area. Right now we have the needed ground to go more into non-commercial stuff, but at the beginning we needed to have some support from commercial projects, which is fine, because even though we were able to, you know, to do our process our way, with the focus on process and not just the focus on the end result, which is a thing that is very meaningful for our area, because normally people get centered just on the end result without give a damn some expression. It's great to have these expressions that sounds like you know how to speak in English, but actually you just see it in movies. Yeah, but we always kept strictly into the principles, which are like to develop the projects and to learn from the project. So the way we see it is like we question established concepts and rules, working in a decentralized, multicultural way. Decentralized, why? Because we don't need that, we need a center. And that's from the beginning, nothing to do with the COVID situation. It was before of that, because, you know, we started as atoms. So we managed to build a structure that made possible to work with different people and different situations, with their own setup, with their own way of dealing with the project itself. Right now, what we are doing is like giving more conditions to work with us, equipment and stuff. So communication, we see it as a lifelong project. We are always learning. We embedded the idea of learning through project, which is something that we already talked about. And also the boundaries of conventional education, because we see ourselves as an educational structure with real projects. And it's it. We also have a game on our website. If you want to lose some time, we could be here until 5 p.m. if you want. And it's it. So and there's some hidden. We have some hidden stuff. Like we are copyleft, which is the opposite of copyright. You can. It's like copyleft. You can use our stuff as long as you reference where you get it. Knowledge is free. Everything you can learn from us is yours to keep.
Sure.
And also, we don't follow or track any of your moves. Also, we are sugar-free. No cookies, just vegetables. Very good for... And this website is a digital experience permanently under construction. So we assume that even our website is permanently under construction, which is reinforcement.
A cover for a lot of work to build.
Yes,
the website.
yes, it's a process.
Also.
It's a process. 1 second.
Because it happened to me.
Yeah. Because if you want better, how do you say it? Better done than perfect.
Then sorry.
Sometimes if you want things done and you are looking for the perfect thing, you don't assume the process, the time you take to, always improving, which I think it's a part of not just learning, but the project itself. So, well, it's it. I don't know if I missed some stuff. Probably I did. Yeah. One of the things we are doing now, like we receive some students from, recently we received one student from the Faculty of Fine Arts in Porto, and he became a KICKVOIDLÖOPian with baptism and stuff. And right now, there are two of them. They finished the course. They have like a premium internship, because they were able to access everything, even talk with clients. They actually do part of the process and do what they want to do in terms of what they want to learn. And they receive, apart from the other guys from Faculty of Fine Arts, which are learning but didn't
Engage in real projects.
Yes, weren't engaged in projects, but also they weren't able to, they didn't get paid, because the faculty don't pay them. It's the internship in different places. It's like the experience is the payment. In our case, we paid for the collaboration. Of course, in not the same way as if it was one of us, but we paid. which is a good principle, to understand that the time has value and the learning has value. You don't need to know everything to get paid. You need to be into the process of learning. And actually, Rui, which is the student I was talking about, and Ricardo, which is another former student, they want to have a studio, a design studio, and they are being incubated inside KICKVOIDLÖOP, like, you know, understanding how a studio works.
A virus, incubated like a virus.
Incubated like a virus. Keep understanding how a studio works, understanding the big picture about what the studio works, and also having some backup on, you know, logistic issues. Like they don't have a receipt to pass, so we can assure that kind of situation, which is important to have some credibility. We talk about invoices, we talk about things that you don't learn at the university, and if you go by your own, you will take some time to, you know, to understand, and you have to eat with your head several times until you learn that, you know. And that was one of the things I had probably forgotten more. Did I forget something else? Let me see. No, I think it's everything, pretty much everything. Yeah, I think it's everything. Now you can, if you have...
I try to speak about como é que se chama o Martim que estivemos a fazer? Estivemos a fazer lá na Casa do Mar.
Also, this image here, this image you see on the background, was made in a collaborative process. It was Cyanotypy. You know the process of Cyanotypy? It's like Cyanotypia. Perfect. It's like Portuguese, you know. It's the same. I love that kind of Cyanotypia. We made a Cyanotypia, which is made with a Brazilian artist. We made a workshop at Casa do Mar in Angeiras, where Martim is from. And we experienced with, in this case, some flowers and stuff, because cooperatives are a natural way of organizing. It's the way cells organize, and what don't organize this way is like cancer, businesses. You know, because we need to cooperate in order to evolve. And this is, well, a small hidden treasure relating our iconography with the idea of cooperatives and also the idea of life itself. So I think it's...
You have nice address. It says Alegria. If I saw right.
Yes.
Alegria is like a cheerfulness.
Joy, it's full of alegria. Yeah, it's true.
It's the name of the street where it is.
Yeah, it's true.
It's where the headquarters of KICKVOIDLÖOP is.
It's here, and actually this is the sky from there.
It's really nice.
Yeah, full of alegria. And we are in the center of Porto, but we are not connected to a center. We don't. Well, it's just a formal place, but. Also in the way we work, I think that we in terms of meetings and stuff, we use a lot Zoom meetings and stuff, but except when we have to discuss something important, and in that case we need to collaborate more and are all together, or try to be all together to work in a specific project. Also, regarding one of the issues, our questions from the morning about the way people participate, sometimes a good way is to have like a meeting or a dinner, or have some
Yeah.
you know.
Earlier on, we were talking about benefits. Sometimes benefits are dinners, of course, or lunches. But people like to eat very well.
People that eat. If you can pay them, at least feed them. Well, but we do both. We pay them for themselves to feed and to do other stuff.
Ourselves, not
And
just them.
I already talked about equipment. So, but it's step-by-step situation. We have to have some structure to do other things, but our idea is to look to the persons, to look to the person and not to look to at the working force.
Something I wanted to add on my perspective is that when we started thinking about cooperatives, like Mari said, lots of the ideas that we had and that we were discussing and that we have actually in our social objectives, because of course we had to do an inscription, you know, because in the case of cooperatives, well, at least in Portugal, you inscribe them in the commercial registry. But you have to express your social objectives, and we are very curious that although we didn't have at the time already the theoretical support that we came through these last few years, all the ideas were summed up from the discussions that we had on what we wanted to do and how we wanted to organize. So this idea that it's very organic actually to work like this, and that of course it's part of our political, instruction as well as left-wing Marxists and socialists. But it was very organic to discuss this, to put this out in a paper, in a document, and we still today look at it and it still makes sense. Although some of how we expose ourselves or how we identify as a cooperative has changed, okay. Also we have started identifying as an educational institution because we understand that we are in a permanent life learning process. And all of this is, developed and changed the way we present ourselves. So we have a new website because of that. This year is being launched. I think it's the first time we're showing it.
Excellent, yes.
But that's it. So if you have questions.
Well, I think we first we'll take a coffee break, and then we'll come back for questions.
Okay.
10 minutes. Cigarette break. Or we can continue with the questions also outside.
Outside?
I would like after to have some words on how this idea so
let's say
is going in business and how we face the all established business network, because it's very problematic. When you have a different approach, you need to check how it can link with the understanding of the others. We have been with some problems with people that use the service of cooperative, because we want to reduce the price by no including taxations in the transition, because it is our client, if they use our cooperative education, training, information, data, we don't need to make them pay taxation to the state. And sometimes the people that works in their accountability have difficulties to understand how we can make a bill, and the bill will be not with this taxation. And this is one problem. Another problem is to understand that when we make a bill of cooperative, our price is more competitive than all the private sector, because we don't need to introduce a value to recuperate the taxation as company to pay the state, because we don't have taxation for cooperatives that works with members' work. So there's a lot of advantage on this, but we need to prepare and be aware to do that. And one big problem has been to convince Mario and Joanna that we can make the bill without this taxation.
No, it was not with us.
And it's cheaper for the old clients that use that, because we consider, as Mario says, that they work in the product we sell them, so we can reduce this in the amount they need to pay. And this is something that we need to be, because to be business, you need to live with the whole framework that is organized with only one way to make business, is the private way and profit way. So we need to be able to face them.
Have you ever tried to create your own product or your own artwork and then sell it, not just provide service?
Well, we have some projects we have that perspective, but yet we didn't do it yet. Even well, from the beginning, you know, if you are doing projects for others, we don't have the time to do our own projects, but we have some projects in the closet. I don't know how to say. Draw. So closet, it's dark enough.
Yeah.
And yes, we have one connects with the idea of connecting with members, and it's a magazine or a publication that we have on the closet for many time, and didn't do it yet because we didn't have the time or the the focus needed to do it. Another one is like a paper newspaper, a wall newspaper for more activist matters, and it will allow us to work with more expressive elements, and also to see things on the street and the city, and yes, normally the idea is someone that wants to start a project, some of the members wants to start a project, what needs to do is just to share with the structure, and then who wants to participate in the project can, I would like to participate in this project. And the vision about the project is always, what can I learn with it? So, I would like to learn some code with the project. Okay, so this is a project where you can learn some code, for instance. Or I would like to experiment with a different technique, and if it fits with the project. So yes, we have, but once again, we don't have, step by step. We need to create the conditions to do it. And right now we have commercial projects and also the cultural projects, or simply the artistic projects. Simply, it's not simple. It's simply in a way that we don't expect to get any kind of finance. One other thing that we try or want to do is to propose one project that could be financed for Portuguese government or other kind of structure, and propose the project, and if the project is accepted, we get the money to do a cultural project.
Mario, you speak about the project we present and that been approved to create the digital, the casas.
Yes. Yes, there is an institution in Portugal which also regulates cooperatives, and that institution finances us in 70% with a limit. So you have to apply to the project, and with the money you can do buy equipment or you can do stuff that are in the program, and in some way we have this financing from the institution that regulates us cooperatives. So we also benefit from that, which is great. It's not a huge amount, but you know, it's for us it's already a regular investment. We already count on it from year to year basis. Like we plan our wish list, goes there.
And also we profit from working with other cooperatives, because they can get support for us to work with them or do a website. we have been working with like that with some cooperatives now. And some projects, like I've told Mario, because he has lots of t-shirts that he has made, and I've told him that I think it would be cool to have, you know, people could buy them, maybe the website.
Yeah.
Or I have worked as a mediator in museums and cultural studies, and I've worked with deaf people, you know, in Portugal for many years, and I wanted to do also a project that inclusively we did the appliance for the cultural ministry, okay, but then for some reason or the other we decided to hold it. I would like to do, you know, we would like to do an illustration project with gestures, like a dictionary of gestures for Portuguese sign language. But all of these are ideas, and the thing is, it's like we're like snails. Because we exist now for 6 years, but time is never enough, you know, to do everything. So we take it slowly, and it's okay.
Regarding,
I can ask a question, because your work is beyond just design. So it's more concerns also designing the communication or many other things, passes through consultations and so on. So how much do you think you maybe manage to influence the way of working of these organizations also? Can you, with your contribution, also maybe in designing not just the visual aspect, but also the way of communication, like working, operating, do you feel it might influence also the work of, I imagine if this is big enterprises, maybe it's difficult, yes. I don't know, but the smaller organizations that are more open,
yes, we can.
There is a mutual.
I think so. Actually, I think that's what I said about the size of the project. Depending on the size of the project, we can allocate more or resources or less resources. And in some situations, that's one of the reasons, because we talk about not capabilities we have, but interests we have. Mm-hmm. Like we move through what interests us. So if you don't have a kind of capability, we have the structure to adapt and to integrate new interests we have. You know, and integrate not just the individual elements, but structures into, you know, with their voice and our dialogue and the way we relate and connect. Because we integrate the structures into the working process, so the project process. So the idea is to, yes, to add value with, and not just be service on the side of the services, but also on the side of co-authoring projects, you know. So, for instance, ULUS is one of the perfect situation to this, because with ULUS, an international cooperative, it's interesting for us to work with. It's a very interesting plateau for us to develop a good communication project. And so it's...
Because it goes beyond just communication, right? It's about thinking what the nature of something is, right? And delving into that. It's interesting that sometimes when you do a communication project, you don't just create like, sometimes, for instance, this happened with us, with this dance company, when we worked with the Estado, because of course they're always, you know, applying for projects, and they have choreographers and, you know, multiple financing, and so they're always producing. They rarely have the time to stop and think about who we are, and they had to do that they were working with us, because we wanted to do communication project for them, and they had to stop and to say, to express who they are, what they do, you know. They had to reorganize the information they had about themselves, and I think it was interesting. We learned a lot from them. But
and they also learn about themselves.
Yeah, about themselves too. So this process is, of course, maybe also because it's in our DNA as not a commercial studio, right? That we try to deal with people and not just businesses, right?
Yeah, but it's also interesting what you said, and I'm sorry. Okay. What you were saying about this project, like, for example, with sign, or like the people initiatives who are actually not established, but they are doing something or have some aims like, to assist them, and they may be probably not economically very wealthy, but to assist them to create, to present themselves, their labor in, you know, in a quite.
We, for instance, we have a very small project, completely without any budget at all, with some with parents association, a parents association, which is a thing that don't even need an image. But we have done a project with an identity project for a parents association at a school, a primary school, where the illustrations that appear are from a workshop we have made with the students, the kids, and they use that they design. They are learning to write, and they designed the first letters in a workshop, and we use the letters to the posters. So they recognize instantly what they have done, and also then we add some stuff like highs and the letters playing with each other, and they recognize instantly what is the parents association, and we don't earn nothing from it. It's completely free. It's just for the pleasure of working with the kids, and actually it's very cool to have that kind of recognition from people that aren't into the field. They are starting to understand what writing is. And in that problem, I think conceptually is very interesting, because I can show you some images if you want. Because it's like the connection between the image and what the image means. So you have the letters that function as images and represent things. So they that are starting to learn how to write, they start looking at letters in a different way, as forms, which I think is also learning in a perspective which is very, unmeasurable. You can't measure that, it's also about the financing. We also, I told that we use some fund we have from an organization that regulates us and all cooperatives, but we do it actually both ways. We do it as receivers, and we also do it as providers. The other cooperatives work with us, developing their own communication issues, and in this case, the money they receive, we receive the money because we are doing the project, it's not for us. So that's a way to keep developing the cooperative movement in a certain scale. So we are much more involved into this. Well, the idea is we have some strategic interests we defined, and then we have to deal with the context and the situation to understand when it's the right opportunity to engage and to connect with projects.
You could show some of the posters from.
Do you want to see posters from the Parents Association?
Yeah.
Let me see if I found.
So yeah, we have lots of ideas, and but sometimes it's not always possible to do everything. I mean, in terms of financing, we have been thinking about for much time to do a project, cultural project, just for us, with the financing of the Portuguese ministry. But like a couple of years ago, when we were about to do it, there was one of our cooperators who wanted to do an appliance for a project of his own, and so we helped him. And there was not enough time for everything, so.
Manifesto. A manifesto from. This is like a parents' manifesto for them to sign in. And it's,
yes, this is because the school has a theater project that is financed by the city council. And in the end of the year, it's always like they don't know if they're going to finance the next year, and so we did this so parents could sign and we could deliver it to the to the political authorities, so they know parents want the project to continue. This is from it spells, I don't know if you can see, it's an L, an E, and an R, which is in Portuguese is ler, it's read, and it's a project that we do there every year. The association, I'm in the association. It's and we every year in March we do a reading kind of festival where we invite illustrators or authors to go to the school and read to kids. And usually we buy some books from these authors so they can stay in the school and the kids can read them afterwards. And so it's called March of Readings, and it's one of the posters from last year. This is from the Christmas fair. And all of these were made by the kids in workshops at the school. So with all the different years, and so when they see the posters, they recognize the work that they've done. You know, it's.
And actually, they started putting eyes on the letters. They already embedded the eyes into the letters.
So this is like a
General Assembly.
A General Assembly.
Which is a reunion of letters. And then...
it spells Assembleia Geral, so it's General Assembly.
Well, this is a kind of language, for me it's very interesting to do, because you actually see how they, you know, relate, and you actually see without any filters, actually children recognize, so it's very honest, the way they relate with the communication. You instantly know, without any metrics, without marketing stuff, blah blah blah, you know that it's working, because they are they give feedback. And it's very interesting to see that they integrate the right now. If they write a letter, many of them put the eyes and the mouth, not just letters. Yeah, and this is completely non-profit, nothing at all. You know, but
it's our kids.
Yeah.
All or nothing at all. All or nothing at all. There's a song. All or nothing at all.
Yes. Yeah, we have several examples.
Yeah.
This is from Music Day.
It's a music project.
With
from the Children's Day. There was a singing in the school with a singer, because this association has many of the parents are artists, or one of them is a singer in a very famous, but you know, a group of singers from Porto, and she directed the kids for one day of singing in the school. Very cool. This is from a public school. Okay.
of course. So I don't know if you have any. If you have any more questions or whatever you want.
I think Martina wanted to say something.
I get provoked with some
Very
information.
boring. So maybe somebody has a less boring question. Okay, I'm gonna ask my boring question after the nice word presentation. Kind of wondering, because I have different experience with different sizes of groups, and I have a question relating to the treatment of the work that's done by the board, by any board. So some organizations are going to have more boards, but I'm basically talking about some main board, and not necessarily in your organization, because you are a cooperative, maybe you've had more cooperatives in mind and working with them, so maybe you've seen something that seems maybe like potentially a better solution in regards to future scaling. So most cooperatives will probably start small, and then you define, same as any organization, you define the statute and some papers, but maybe these don't work when you grow later, and of course you can implement changes, but normally it's really hard to do in a larger growing organization. So I'm really wondering, what do you think is a better approach regarding the work by the board? Like, should it be paid or is it unpaid work? You know, because I see there are different approaches and different caveats. I'm not sure if I pronounce that right. Yeah, there are some reasons, both pro and con. Of course, in the ideal world, everyone needs to get remunerated somehow. But sometimes these positions become alienated. It's somehow like the board feels like the work of the board is not like the work of the members. So I've seen some organizations have rotational boards, and this can maybe work better in bigger organizations. But for a smaller organization, of course, you're not going to have like a rotational board if you're all members and founders, and the work is kind of really optional for members. But if we're talking about a bigger cooperative in the future, maybe this membership would actually not be optional in a way. Legally it's always optional, but maybe because of the social system of a specific country or a job, it's really necessary for somebody to be included. And then I'm really worried about these different modes of participation that we could theoretically sabotage them in the beginning if we plan like different remunerations for different types of participation in the cooperative. So yeah, just to sum up, my question is basically, would you recommend for smaller but potentially big cooperatives to have a professionalized board which is remunerated for their work, or should it be a volunteer rotational board? And should this be defined in the statute or in some like internal document that is more easily updated over time?
I can answer in a practical sense. In our case, we consider the work of the board as work. You know, it's like time tracking. And it's simply a different kind of item, which is like administration, or you know, it's equal. We don't categorize things in terms of the quality of what you do. It's work that we need to do. So if nobody does it, you can't work so properly. So it's simply one item, paid as other items. But it's our way of dealing with the situation, but it's a good question because we dealt with the issue at the beginning, like how will we differentiate between the ones that are constantly doing stuff that is not creative work, and in our case most of the times we accumulate between what the creative part and the administrational part. We do both, but we can also agree in some other situation. For instance, Martinho, it's a different kind of situation, but we agree on something that's fair.
The very interesting question, because we can have the legal approach and also the evolution of the organization. So, and in certain cases, even the law also accept that the decision that the leadership, the board, can be paid or not paid. If they are paid in Portugal, it should be after deliberation of the General Assembly. But if you agree, as most of cooperatives in Portugal, that the board, the direction of the cooperative usually has no pay, so we don't pay wage to the social security, we don't pay. But if the members are engaged in the management, that is what now proposed for this seminary, the governance. And now in Europe in general, we have an idea. One thing is the leadership of the members, that can be a voluntary work, but also if the organization moves to have a big involvement, have other people paid or engaged in the work, there is no reason that the people that are making management should not be paid. So it's possible. Make an example. I am a member of the board of an education cooperative. To be member of the cooperative and board, it's only to be a citizen. But after we have a professional school that is financed by the Portuguese government and by the European money. So the skills for the pedagogic direction of the school needs to be people with the ability to do that and to be recognized by the government, to be after what we do, to be recognized in the school evolution of the young people. So these people can be paid and be paid as generally it's available by the results of the organization. So if you start, you can say that the payment for the board of the cooperative generally is no pay, but it can be accountable and to put this as contribution, voluntary contribution for the reserves of the organization. But if we have some activities that provide by finance, by the state, by the market, if we have money to run the business, we can prove that the people that are in the board, if they have administration activities, they can be paid, and this can be. And in many organizations or cooperatives, we have both entities. The board, that is the entity that have the response to the General Assembly, and after we have the executive as a special nominate board, sometimes nominated by the board of that have been elected in General Assembly, but after nominate, another case is even the General Assembly that make this nomination of the board. And after, there is a lot of variations with the dimension of the entity. But to start a cooperative, what we use usually is says that work is voluntary, but if we have results, because we have a special law in Portugal for worker cooperatives that makes we have no salary, we can work and not be paid by the cooperative, but in the final results, the accountability of cooperative, we can decide what can be the payment for the work. And on this moment, if we are paid by the cooperative as work paid, we pay the taxation corresponding to that. But even that, we have a special taxation for the workers of no-profit organization in Portugal. But this needs to be reported to the potential to generate results of the organization, because in some cases it exists. The members and the board members are paid, and after it's bankrupt because they have no results that support these payments they take off. So after is bankrupt. So we need to be aware. We don't need to define some goals on that more than what is the normal results of the global management. There is one problem in this social organization and this kind of cooperatives manage project, because the project is what Mario speaks about. But after, we need to have management administration. So we don't create a cooperative to have expense in management. But as we create this activity, we need to have accountability to present to the members and to present to the entities outside us, the state and other, where we need to present the final figures of the accountability of what we are doing. So you need to be aware, if we develop a cooperative, we need to be aware that we need to be prepared with members or with assistants outside to fulfill all the legal terms to be in a legal position. Otherwise, if we don't fulfill all that, after we have problems to be work and legally action. Okay?
I want to say something. I think it's a very pertinent question because it's the core of maybe the problems that an organization may lead, which is how to divide results or how to, distribute value that is created. So this is the main issue. But I think one of the most important things is that it is openly addressed inside the, and democratically decided. Of course, we have to bear in mind that people who have the responsibility for leading or for decisions or for taking care of, accountancy or whatever is boring work. For me, it always should be paid because it's not an easy part of the work to be done. But of course, depending on the nature of the cooperative, this might pose a problem. I think Martino is right that it should be addressed in terms of what the revenue is, so that it is just and it's not affecting the functioning of the cooperative. But I think also it must be addressed explicitly. Okay, so these issues, I think they must be addressed and recognized by everyone. So this is one of the most important things. And of course, dissension will appear anyway, maybe. It's part of the processes, but well, we have to deal with it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Any other questions?
May I only create one more problem on this? There is situations, but perhaps we'll speak tomorrow, where this problem of leadership and governance is so strong, so big, and in certain cases that bring the cooperative organization to a so bad situation that after it comes some state resolutions to say that the cooperatives should have external management staff. It happens in Spain with housing cooperatives that have been created in behalf of the trade unions. They create a lot of cooperatives, but after the management of a trade union is different from housing, and it was some bankrota, so it comes up a law saying, okay, people can organize themselves in housing cooperatives, but they need to assure that they will organize themselves with an external management service recognized. That says, okay, you can do what you want, but after we need to put someone to look after you, for you don't go in bankruptcy. So this is one problem. But it happens if the cooperative cannot deal themselves to solve this problem. Okay?
So, okay. If you are completely
satisfied
with our presentation, it's okay. Otherwise, you can ask what you want.
But
well, I don't know.
For example, the system of like in associations, we have like management board, supervisory board, and like all different boards. Like, so who is the supervising the managers board inside the cooperative, for example? How is the managers?
All cooperatives normally they needs to elect a fiscal internal group. So we have the board, we have the General Assembly, and we have a group of members that are advisors, and they assist, and they must be informed about all the board decisions, and they need to be asked to make a report each year when the board presents to the Assembly the final report of the activities and the accountability. They need to have the opinion of this council, the fiscal council in Portuguese, the advisor. And this kind of organization exists in all international. I'm a member of several organizations international. All of them have the board. They have this council of fiscal, but also must have some special management team, and also it depends in the kind of cooperatives or entities, social economic entities, that needs to have a formal supervisor. For instance, in Portugal, some cooperatives, for instance in credit, are obliged to have the board. Is the board that choose and the people that needs to be formally recognized to make this activity. And some cooperatives that are obliged to have accountability needs to have service from a specialized accountability certified person or company to do that. So normally the law will propose, and when you decide the statute, it will be on this. In general, in Portugal, the cultural cooperatives are not obliged, but the Portuguese code law had been changed and estimate when the business, the activity pass to a big amount. Yes, because what happens is that the cooperative that starts to be members oriented, when we grow the cooperative, the elections and the importance for non-members are so higher that it's necessary to have a control by the outside members. The one thing that in English we say stakeholders. Stakeholders are different from the members. The members is the one that own the entity. Stakeholders are the outside entities to whom also what we run our cooperative is very important also for them. So if we run our cooperative in a bad way, we are not only put in risk our interests, we are also put in risk all people that have been in business or depend in our activity. So the way how the state defends these outside people from members is saying that the cooperative organization needs to be outside the controller. Is that in the European society? But we will speak that also tomorrow. But even in general, the law of each country have this consideration and take some prevention, defense of the interests that are being managed. Because we start by a small group members, and after we can arrive today in a very big activities, and so that the action needs to be under control. Okay.
Sorry. We have two types of this control. I think it's different, yeah, but maybe the most similar to this obligatory. We have this revision. It can be state mandated,
Audit.
Audit, yeah, audit. Or it can be upon the request of the organization.
This is one question that is, at this moment, whole organizations that are in the market or in social activities needs to be aware about the new regulations to defend the outside members, even the private sector. So now whole public are defended because all companies, even the cooperatives, are applied to fulfill some quality standards. And every countries have special entities to define the standards, even for the service or the activities, and even for the quality of the organization. So each country demand to organize with some institution created by the government, but to manage a little outside the government, to be where the companies needs to go to apply, that they control the activity and they make a certification on the quality of your organization, the quality of the products, of service you done. And is that we can see some logos in the different products, say they fulfill some quality standards. And this is for the standards of products and service, and also for the quality of the accountability. But that we can also to see the international framework tomorrow. Okay, let's the international network be for tomorrow.
I think we can finish.
Yeah. No?
They want to say a few words.
Yeah, it's well, if it's all talk about everything. No, if it's all been said and you are okay with no more questions, we can end the session right now, and tomorrow we will have the international perspective about cooperative with Martinho.
And who wants to become a KICKVOIDLÖOP can take contact and prepare themselves, because you can be member of our cooperative or you can start your own. And if you decide, we can assist you on that.
Awesome.
8 je večera u isti restorant gdje smo bili jučer, restoran Čira, i do tada slobodni.